Welcome to the John and Heidi Show podcast.
John and Heidi.
Here's John and Heidi.
Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Thursday. Hey, baby, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. You got a little sniffles going on over there, don't
I'm not feeling great.
That time of year. Coming up here later in the program. Oh, you know what? I don't know who I have. I've got a guest. I left my info. Oh, it's across the room. Coming up in a bit, we'll tell you who that is. But we do have some other fun things to get to, like this. There's a new discussion about what caused the death of the classical composer Beethoven in 1827. Many experts now are saying that the evidence points to a possible lead poisoning.
Oh.
So that's what they're saying. So you'd think they'd have that figured out by now. It happened in 1827.
Huh.
In English, a double negative forms a positive. In some languages, though, like Russian, a double negative is still a negative. However, there was no language where a double positive can form a negative. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
So yeah always means positive. It doesn't mean negative.
Okay.
Something like that. Double positive? I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not too positive. Coming up, I'm positive about this. Some special things on the way. We'll tell you all about it in a bit. Today is a special day, Heidi. Do you know what today is?
What is today, John?
Thought you'd never ask. It's Thursday, October the 20th. Today is Conflict Resolution Day. So if you're having a conflict with somebody, today's the day to resolve it. So, Heidi, I apologize for everything I've ever done.
Yeah.
There you go. Next, it's Get to Know Your Customers Day. It is Get Smart About Credit Day, International Credit Union Day, Miss American Rose Day, and Spirit Day. All of those things going on.
There you go.
It's a lot of stuff.
It's a lot of stuff.
And look what I have. My list from across the room. Nick Fitzherbert is our guest today. We're going to be talking to him about, presentation magic. So he's a magician who is going to teach us how to do magical presentations. Now, there's not really magic in the presentations, but he's got a book that's going to give you little tips and tricks on how to make your presentations a little more interesting. So that's coming up later on this Thursday, the 20th day of October.
John and Heidi.
Legally, we gotta have insurance. That's why getting the very best rate is paramount. I'm Jared Parsons. I founded the first national and virtual insurance agency. Until now, you were limited to the agents in your area. But what if the rates are better somewhere else? At Parsons, we shop around and we get you the best rate. It's that simple. Go to radioinsuranceguy.com. That's radioinsuranceguy.com.
John and Heidi.
You know it's true because you heard it on the radio. Does your husband ever listen to you?
No.
Maybe it's not his fault. Women accuse men of not listening to them, but it turns out it's really not their fault if they don't catch what a woman says. It's because of the size and the shape of a female's larynx.
I don't think so. I don't buy that for one second.
Says their voices are more complex and more musical. Researchers at England's University of Sheffield discovered that the male brain uses a similar mechanism to process male voices, but female voices engage the same part of the male brain that processes music, which makes it more difficult for them to decipher a woman's voice. So
Men can't understand music? Is that what they're saying?
What is this music that you speak of?
Yeah.
I don't understand what they're talking about. I use a different part of our brain. Here's the thing. I understand what you're saying, and I even hear what you're saying. I just don't always pay attention to what you're saying.
This is true.
You know, you might say, put your plate in the dishwasher, not in the sink. And then what do?
Put it in the sink.
Lately, I've been pretty good, though, haven't I?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I've been very good lately.
Better.
Well, getting a whole lot better, you know, because now I realize how much that means to you. I'm like, well, if that's all I got to do to make you smile, well, son of a gun, that's easy. So I wish everything in life was that easy. But they say, according to this, that it's something to do with the shape of a woman's larynx that makes it so men can't hear them as well. So I don't know if I'm believing all of that either, but that's what the experts say. So there you go. You know it's true. You know why?
Because you heard it on the radio.
Exactly. What she said.
The John and Heidi Show is brought to you in part by the Keystone Treatment Center.
This is your brain, and this is your brain on drugs. We share silly stories here on the program, but addiction is no joke. If you or someone you know suffers with an addiction to drugs or alcohol, make today the day you seek help.
Call toll-free 844-204-1055.
That's a toll-free number. Again,
844-204-1055.
and this is your brain on drugs. Well, kind of, sort of. It's a bar in Nebraska, but it's an oxygen bar. Oxygen Bar at the Nebraska State Fair has been warned that it might be violating state and federal drug laws by dispensing oxygen without a prescription. Have you ever heard such a thing?
No.
The FDA says people can stop breathing if they get too much oxygen, although the American Lung Association says the low-flow oxygen at oxygen bars won't hurt anybody. So don't we breathe in oxygen all the time? You're yawning right now. You're going to make me yawn. Then we're going to have a yawn. But is that because you need more oxygen? Isn't that means?
I think so, yes.
So you should be at the oxygen bar at the state fair in Nebraska. So anyway.
I don't understand oxygen bars.
Me neither. We were in Vegas about a year ago or whenever that was. And they had one like on the way from the place that we stayed back to the hotel, or from the hotel back to the airport or whatever.
Yeah, and then you put some mask over your face that everybody else has been using too.
Yeah,
That doesn't seem all that sanitary.
But I don't know. Anyway, now they're trying to figure out if they can do it or if they can't do it. But so I don't know if that's necessarily a drug, but I guess they say that it's, drug laws that they're fighting. So there you go. That's happening in Nebraska. Your moment of duh is on the way.
John and Heidi.
Now your moment of duh. There's a guy by the name of Terry Bennett that did not show up for his trial in Illinois. Now this is back in 2001, 1 week after September 11th.
Okay.
And he was being tried for home repair fraud, but he called the courthouse and said, "Yeah, I can't be there to help because I'm helping out at the World Trade Center, so I'm not going to be able to make it there for my trial."
Okay.
Now that sounds like a great reason to not go to trial, right? Like, hey,
Sure,
this is a pretty big.
yeah.
But his caller ID said he was home. He said he flew to New York, but all planes were grounded. Then he rode in a van with some people, but he doesn't know any of those people. While on the phone, there was no background noise from a rescue site. He goes, "Oh yeah, I'm working, but everybody else is asleep." Sure. And then when they asked, "Well, where are you working?" "Well, I'm down off the main drag," is what he said. And then finally, he was spotted by somebody from the newspaper the day after this. And of course, he said, "No, that wasn't me. That's my identical cousin."
His identical cousin was
Yeah.
walking around in the town while he was over working
Yes.
on the world. Of
Yeah,
course.
so there you go. Couldn't you just finally just admit, okay, yeah, it was me. I lied. Just admit you lied. That's what happened. All right, coming up, your scoop of the day. That's on the way.
The Scoop of the Day is brought to you by Wells Blue Bunny. If you want delicious ice cream, be sure to look for the Blue Bunny. Sure to have your favorite flavors. Learn more at bluebunny.com.
Now your scoop of the day. Breathing room may be vital to your emotional well-being, Heidi.
Okay.
Women are likely to get depressed when they don't have enough space. This is a study from the Cleveland State University. Men are better able to mentally and physically withdraw from claustrophobic settings, but women tend to feel obligated to interact with others. So what do you think of that?
I think that's the exact opposite for us.
Yeah, I think so too. So what are you trying to say? You're trying to say that
In rooms with lots of people, you feel obligated to interact with everybody, and I have no problem just sitting down and
here's the thing I do
not
struggle
talking
with.
to people.
If there's too many people and there's like a lot of talking, for whatever, my hearing is awful. So then I can't hear who I'm talking to. So the whole time I'm just like nodding and going, yeah. So they could be saying, "John, I listened to you on the radio. You were the biggest moron I've ever heard on the radio." I'd be like, yeah, I agree. Yeah, definitely. Which I probably would say that anyway. Hey, back to the news here. Samsung is providing, quote, explosion-proof kits for customers returning their Galaxy Note 7 phones.
Oh, wow.
What the heck is that?
That's a shame.
I've never heard of that. Roseanne Barr took a nasty spill at the San Francisco Golden Gate Park last Tuesday and broke her kneecap in 3 places.
Oh, no.
That would be awful. I know someone that broke their kneecap just in one place. It was right on the knee, and it didn't hurt.
Isn't that where the kneecap usually is?
Yeah,
right on the
yeah.
knee?
Well, she broke hers in 3 places. I think one was on her knee, and I'm not sure where the other 2 were. Probably also on her knee. But I know someone that just broke it in one place, and it was bad, and it took forever to heal, it seemed. Hey, states with the least religious populations tend to be far cheaper when it comes to shelling out big bucks for charity. It says people in states where religion is more important in the lives of the citizens, particularly in the South, those people donate a larger portion of their income, according to a study based on IRS records of folks who itemize deductions. Those living in the Northeast, where religious participation is lower, were found to be a little tighter with their wallets, you might say. So there you go.
That makes perfect sense
It
to me,
does.
though, because the Bible teaches sharing and
to
giving.
give.
And,
It's a good thing. Tithing is one thing, and offerings are different. Tithing, offering, giving, it's different stuff. But yeah, it's definitely something that is very well documented. If you want to lose weight, join a soccer league. According to research from Copenhagen University in Denmark, a friendly game of soccer works off more fat and builds up more muscle than jogging or walking. So a little bit of soccer. I bet
that doesn't count for me with my bad knee.
Probably
That'd
not.
probably be really ugly.
Although, for those of you who are big soccer fans, somebody have to tell me, John Small is a soccer player because my name is John Small, spelled exactly the same way, JOHNSMALL. And I have a Google alert set up. I don't know if you ever heard of that. It's just kind of funny to see what's popping up on the internet with your name. It's kind of cool. Anyway, I get stuff all the time for him. This soccer player, apparently he must be a pretty good player because he's in the news all the time.
Huh.
I think it's good stuff. I don't know. I don't really read the stories. And I'm not a soccer guy, so it's definitely not me. It's somebody else. Hey, a study in the New Zealand Medical Journal says airline passengers should not try to hold abdominal gas, but let it go to prevent indigestion and heartburn.
Nice.
So they're saying it's okay to toot on an airplane. That's what they're saying. They said it a lot nicer than I said it, but that's what they're saying. And our final thing here, Heidi. People earning over $100,000 a year are almost twice as likely to apologize after an argument or mistake as those who earn $25,000 or less, according to Zogby International. So, if you get in an argument with somebody and that person apologizes, chances are they're pretty well-to-do. So you say, hey, is there a settlement in line here? All right. Thanks for listening to our Scoop of the Day.
John and Heidi.
Election day is almost here. No matter which side you're rooting for, you now have a place to get informed and to truly voice your opinion at PoliticalStorm.com. An amazing resource with information from people on both sides of the aisle, all in one place. Watch videos, read blogs, listen to podcasts like mine, and read fun editorials. You can also contribute with your own blog for free. Be a part of the community at PoliticalStorm.com. You have a choice, and now you have a voice, too, at PoliticalStorm.com. That's PoliticalStorm.com.
John and Heidi.
Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show. You know, it's been said some people would rather die than speak in public. That's not a good thing. We're going to talk about speaking in public. We've got a magician and a business coach and an author, Nick Fitzherbert. How are you, sir?
Very good. Thank you very much. Lovely to be with you.
Well, we're excited to have you on the program. You're a communications expert, you're an author, you're a magician, and you're going to help people right now because you got a lot of folks listening here that probably have had to get up in front of their coworkers and speak before. And you're saying that, hey, it's not that bad. And sometimes we kind of sabotage ourselves in the process. How do people do that?
Well, I mean, presenting has become more and more important in the business world. You know, it's no longer just something that the big boss does. Everybody has to do it. And, you know, right from the apprentices who I've been working with recently through to, you know, at staff meetings and on social media and things when they're presenting to clients. And they don't always realize just how important it is to their career prospects. You know, it's like a showcase for their own abilities, and if they don't really focus on it and work at it, they could be jeopardizing their careers, I believe. And certainly it was the big breakthrough for my career when I started in public relations many, many years ago. I spent the first year thinking I was going to get sacked every day. They said, look, you go and try something else. Then suddenly I had the opportunity to present simply because there was nobody else around. They had to let me do it, and they realized I could do it, and they were shocked. But from that moment onwards, my career took off. They were suddenly listening to me. They wanted to be involved in their pitches and their presentations and working on the ideas and so on. And that was the start of my career, really.
Nick, I've read statistics that say there are some people that are more afraid to speak in public than they are of death. So they would much rather die than get up in front of their peers, their coworkers, and have to do some sort of presentation or speak. What would you say to those people to let them know that, hey, this isn't really that bad?
It comes top of all the polls, as you say, so right up there with death and divorce and everything like that. It's not as scary as that by any means. I sometimes get people to focus in, what is it you're actually worried about? I get them to write it down because it's fear of fear itself rather than the actual fear. But the trouble is that actually that fear gets much, much worse, which when they're having to deal with technology and perhaps they don't know quite how it works and they're struggling with it, perhaps something goes wrong. My greatest fear, whenever I'm turning up to do some training or to present, is being able to get an image up on the screen. You know, I don't do anything until I've got an image up on the screen. So thank goodness we've now got, you know, products like the new ClickShare from Barco. That means you don't have to worry about that. You can just click and it's there. And then you can focus on really yourself rather than having to worry about technology, because that makes things much, much worse than actually just getting up and speaking.
Now, you have a thing called the Starbucks test. What is that?
Oh, a Starbucks test, yes. That is, I say to people, right, okay, you've got to rehearse it, you've got to know exactly what you're doing, you can't be too reliant on your technology. What happens if you turn up, everything, you've got all your PowerPoint presentation, all your aids and so on, you get to the client or wherever you're doing it, and they say, look, terribly sorry, all the meeting rooms are booked up, we're going to have to go and do it over the road in Starbucks. How would you be able to get on? Now, you need to decide, am I prepared to allow myself to be messed around like this? But if you are, would you still be able to do a decent presentation? But if you can do it without any aids at all in a quite a sort of noisy, awkward situation, then imagine how good you can be when everything goes your way. You've got a lovely meeting room, all the technology's working, it's all nicely laid out, and so on. So I say, okay, you've rehearsed, but would you pass the Starbucks test?
Again, our guest today is Nick Fitzherbert. He is a magician. He's a business coach. He is an author. Mr. Fitzherbert, if maybe somebody listening is going, man, this guy sounds fascinating, where do they go to find out a little bit more about Nick Fitzherbert?
Oh, they can get from me from fitzherbert.co.uk. Thank you very much. www.fitzherbert.co.uk.
Very nice. Now, before we let you go, since you are a magician, I want to make sure we talk a little bit about that. If I'm maybe not a magician, but I need to put a presentation together, can I use some of the same tricks and tips that a magician would use? And how do you pull all of that into making a presentation that people will remember?
Absolutely. I mean, I don't really recommend you start doing magic tricks unless you've got a really good reason. But it's things that I was observing magicians, the best magicians do instinctively, is what I apply to my coaching in presentation skills. It's simple things like attention tracks from left to right and comes back to settle on the left, because in the Western world we read that way. So from the audience's view, it's much better if you've got yourself on the left of your screen, so they look at you, look across to the screen, and then attention thinking, where do I go now? It goes back to the speaker, so it keeps the focus on you. It's simple things like that, creating a single point of focus. So actually getting close into your screen and things like that. First and last are what people remember. So you need to actually focus on how you open and how you close more than anything else, because that's what people remember. If you think with magic, it's the big ta-da moment that they want the audience to go away and remember and talk about, that's what the success is dependent upon. So I get the people I train to do a magic trick, and they realize, yes, there's that big ta-da moment I want my audience to go away. Remember, my business presentation needs one of those as well. But do learn how to use your technology too, because however good you are at speaking, you can so easily be knocked out the way by your technology, or it can be driving you. It can be competing with you if you're not careful. So learn how to use it, and learn and use, things that are there built in to help you. There are things built into PowerPoint to help you, and those things like, being able to connect up very easily with ClickShare, it makes it so much easier so you can focus on yourself rather than worrying about technology.
Again, our guest today, Nick Fitzherbert. He's a magician, and he's got a book called Presentation Magic, Achieving Outstanding Business Presentations Using the Rules of Magic. It's available right now. Mr. Fitzherbert, thank you so much for chatting with us. We appreciate it a bunch.
Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you. And again, we wish you the very best. How long has this book been available?
It's been out about 5 years. I think it came out in the States about 4 years ago now. And it's been translated into a number of different languages.
Well, very cool. I think that's a cool idea. And I know I've had to do presentations where you get up in front of people and speak. And I'll tell you, there are times that I wish I had a little magic with me. So I appreciate what you're doing for people out there. Thank you again.
Okay, thank you.
Again, the book is Presentation Magic, Achieving Outstanding Business Presentations Using the Rules of Magic. Our guest today has been Nick Fitzherbert. See, I think that's a cool idea. So next time you have a presentation, maybe you have a little trick or two up your sleeve and see if that helps you knock it out of the park. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Thursday.
John and Heidi.
Are you ready for Duel? Kyle Dowling on guitar, Brett Gunderson on bass, Sam DeVito on drums, and frontman Duel Shape.
Gotta keep rocking, gotta keep sucking, bringing it down like rain.
Duel's new single just hit iTunes and it's selling fast. Get your copy now.
When you're locked in chains and you feel no pain, Supernova gonna get you too.
Their first single, Supernova, is available now for less than $1. Learn more and find a direct link to buy Supernova at facebook.com/DuelRocks.
Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
President John Fitzgerald Kennedy could read 4 newspapers in 20 minutes.
Really?
Yeah, that's a little speed reading demon right there. That's pretty darn quick.
Right. I wonder how much he actually got out of those
I don't know.
papers.
I remember we had one of our favorite comedians talked about taking a speed reading course. And he talked about how fast he could read, but his retention was awful. I think that I tried a speed reading thing. I found something online where it was about a speed reading course. I thought I've always wanted to do that. So I didn't buy the course, but I took the advice. Yeah, it was terrible. I could burn through a book in 15 minutes, but I couldn't remember any of it. Hey, fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
All U.S. presidents have worn glasses. Some didn't like being seen with them in public,
Really?
but every single president has had a prescription of some sort. Huh. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Moon was Buzz Aldrin's mother's maiden name. So he was the second man on the moon. His mother's
really?
maiden name was Moon. There you go. And our final fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Sigmund Freud had a morbid fear of ferns. Why? That makes no sense, dude.
Wow.
Why are you afraid of ferns? What are they going to do to you? Nothing. Nothing, Siggy. Nothing. Coming up, we got more fun stuff on a Thursday edition of the John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
Legally, we gotta have insurance. That's why getting the very best rate is paramount. I'm Jared Parsons. I founded the first national and virtual insurance agency. Until now, you were limited to the agents in your area. But what if the rates are better somewhere else? At Parsons, we shop around and we get you the best rate. It's that simple. Go to radioinsuranceguy.com. That's radioinsuranceguy.com.
Thank you for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Thursday. This is an interesting story that I wanted to share. The law is the law is the law is the law. Whether you think a law is for the birds or not, it's still the law. Helen Smith thinks one particular law in her neighborhood is really for the birds. So you notice twice now we mentioned for the birds.
Yes.
There's a reason.
I'm assuming there's birds involved.
Mrs. Smith is scheduled to go to court before a judge. She's been cited already once for feeding the birds. Yeah, she does it in her own yard. The same yard she's been doing this in, by the way, since she was a little girl. Now she's 86, and no matter what they say, she's going to keep doing it. It is against city code now to feed the birds, so she's going to court. If she's found guilty, she could be fined up to $1,000.
Oh, good Lord.
Mrs. Smith thinks the law is the most ridiculous thing she has ever heard, but her neighbors are complaining that the feedings of these birds are attracting rodents and causing unsanitary conditions.
Oh, my goodness.
Not to mention all the bird feces all over the neighborhood, and they blame her for it. They're like, hey, somebody's got to be blamed. I think it's her. So they don't want her to feed the birds anymore. So it does not say in this story which city this is in. I would love to know. But it's
good for her for saying, you know what, fine,
like
take me to court. I'm going to
feeding
feed the birds.
Yeah, so she's feeding the birds. Give me $1,000 fine? Fine.
Leave the poor thing alone.
After that,
She's 86.
I remember you and I were on vacation somewhere, and there were some birds.
We've been on a vacation?
It was a long time ago.
Cannot remember a vacation.
I barely remember this. But I had a French fry that it fell on the table, and there were like birds that flocked in, so I threw it over on the patio, and just a swarm of birds came down, fighting over this fry, and I had some dude come and yell at me for throwing a fry over there. Remember that?
I remember. He was a lounge singer.
He was. And it was funny because he yelled at me, and I stood up. I'm not like an intimidating guy at all, but as soon as I stood up, I was like, what's going on? Because I didn't know what he was talking about. He thought I was going to clobber him, and then he was like, so, no, it's not a big deal, really. It's your fry. You can do what you want with it. But I just thought it was so funny. He comes over and yells at me, and as soon as I stand up to find out what the problem is, because I'm like, what is he even yelling about? And I stand up and I start talking to him. He's looking up to me. He's like, yeah, it's really not that big a deal. Oh, okay.
Mind your own business, people.
Did you want a fry? I'll give it to you if you want it. Anyway, I'm sad to hear that this lady's got to go to court. That stinks. Coming up, we got more fun stuff on the way.
John and Heidi.
If you're a business owner or the person in charge of advertising, I have a special offer just for you. We're doing a jingle special this month. Did you know that when you put words to music, they're 9 times more memorable? How would you like to be the name in your industry and have people singing your song? We've worked with hundreds of small businesses to create their own musical image, and we want to help you too. Reach out right now and we'll give you $500 off. Squeeze it into this year's budget and get results for years to come. Learn more and hear examples at RadioReallyWorks.com. That's RadioReallyWorks.com.
John and Heidi.
This is a crazy story from Sweden, Heidi. A man got dragged into the whirling brushes of the car wash.
Oh, boy.
Came out with 4 broken ribs.
What?
60-year-old man was using a high-pressure hose to clean his bus when the hose accidentally hit a sensor and activated the brushes, which somehow tripped a trigger and pulled him in. The man fought to free the hose. His foot got stuck. He was pulled in.
Oh, my God.
Pinned against one of the machine's rotating brushes. The court awarded him 6,000 crowns. You know how much that is in American
I
dollars?
have no clue.
$570. 6,000 crowns sounds a lot better, though. They gave the man, and there was a man that came to the rescue after he heard the screams and pushed the machinery's emergency stop button. So there you go.
Wow.
That is crazy.
That is crazy.
So I don't understand exactly what happened. A 60-year-old man washing his car.
He got pulled into the car wash, and the brushes beat him up.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like a fun day right there. Coming up, we're going to talk about things I've learned in life. It's not really me. It's people on Facebook, what they've taught me, and I'll tell you all about that in a bit.
John and Heidi.
Here's some things that have been learned. These are all fun little things. It was just a post on Facebook. What I've learned in life, and these are comments. It says, if at first you don't succeed, look in the wastebasket for directions.
That's true.
Thanks, Tim. The next one is, the older I get, the smarter my parents get. I agree with that, too, Janetta. Never to beam down to the planet if you're wearing the red shirt. Star Trek. Because whoever that dude was, you ain't coming back.
You're not coming
Chris
back.
put that on there. Breathe in, breathe out. Kevin says that. Things I've learned in life. There's nothing better than to be loved. Well, maybe eating chocolate. Vivian.
Well,
the only person I have to be better than is the person I was yesterday.
That's
I
a
like
great
that.
one. I like
Dibby. Don't let a restaurant serve your food cold.
okay.
I'm actually okay with some cold food. Ellen says that. Never let your kids find out your age, Barry. It says behind that he's 41, by the way. Your kids better not read this. Becoming an adult was painful. Being an adult is the best. Robert, a guy at a Walmart doesn't...
That one I disagree with. Being an adult is not all that it was cracked up to be. So I completely disagree with that.
Okay. And the last one here. The guy at the door at Walmart doesn't say hi to everyone. Alan. All right, there you go. So some life lessons learned and shared with us on Facebook.
John and Heidi.
Election day is almost here. No matter which side you're rooting for, you now have a place to get informed and to truly voice your opinion at PoliticalStorm.com. An amazing resource with information from people on both sides of the aisle all in one place. Watch videos, read blogs, listen to podcasts like mine, and read fun editorials. You can also contribute with your own blog for free. Be a part of the community at PoliticalStorm.com. You have a choice, and now you have a voice too at PoliticalStorm.com. That's PoliticalStorm.com.
John and Heidi.
Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show. This is a very interesting concept here. How burglars say they break in. Do you want to know this kind of stuff?
Sure.
I do too. I definitely do. Following is based on a survey of convicted burglars where they had this survey talking to them in prison. So these were the ones that got caught, but still, maybe they're not the best dudes to talk to. But this is still really good info. 74% said they were more likely to go through windows than doors. So the remedy is storm windows. No burglar surveyed said they would bother trying to take out storm windows. So having like storm windows and then the windows, you know what that is?
But I could see that. I could see that
Yeah.
the window would be easier because they're usually they'll find one at the back of the house
Somebody
where maybe nobody can see them.
And
or,
you forget to lock that kind of stuff. Number 2 on the list, 86% said they cased out a home before hitting it. Remedy, if you're going to be gone, have timer lights, have newspapers and mail picked up by neighbors, and have a neighbor park a car in your driveway if you're going to be gone for a long, long time. You know, so there's activity because they don't know that it's your neighbor. Number 3, 20% picked locks or tried to pick them. Remedy is there's no beating a good old deadbolt. So they're saying make sure that you have more than one lock. 63% cut phone lines before.
Actually, here's something very clever that I heard that somebody does. They've
what's that?
got 6 deadbolts on their door.
Yeah.
3 of them are locked and 3 of them are unlocked, and they're always random. And so no matter which way they pick these locks, some of them they're locking the doors and some of them they're unlocking the doors.
How did they get in their house? Which ones did I lock today? Oh, dang it.
No, I'm saying when they're home from the inside. They lock
Oh, I see.
so that they don't have to worry about somebody breaking in and attacking them. I thought it was a very good idea.
Hey, that's a made-up thing. I can't.
I think that's a great idea.
It says here,
I would do that. Now that I've heard that, I would do that. It makes sense to me.
63% said phone lines are cut before entering, and they say what you should do there is put a sign right by your phone lines that say, police will be notified automatically if phone lines are cut. I don't know that would work. 80%,
Hardly anybody has phone lines anymore.
I know.
so-
80% looked in garage windows to see if a car was there, so make sure you put something in there or cover the windows. And then finally, 56% continued to burglarize when they were already inside and realized people were in the home sleeping. So they say the remedy to that
Don't
is...
sleep.
The remedy is wake up and shoot them. Is literally what it says. That is what it says on here. All right, we've got some good news coming your way. We all deserve it. It's a Thursday, and we appreciate you listening to the John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by the John and Heidi Show. That sounds kind of funny, but it's true. Go to your local radio station and ask them to start carrying the John and Heidi Show. Here's the best part. They can carry the show for free. They play a couple commercials, but it doesn't cost them anything every month. So if you know a radio station that could use a little bit of help, send them our way. Send them to johnandheidishow.com. Again, johnandheidishow.com. We would love to do a radio program in your community. Then you could listen to the podcast and listen to us on the radio.
John and Heidi.
We always try to wrap things up around here with some good news, and I think this is pretty darn good news. This is such a neat story. He may be close to 100 years old, but that does not stop Bill Wheeler from being an active member of society. According to ABC News, Wheeler has been using his tractors to grind up debris in his neighbors' yards that was left over by Hurricane Matthew. He's 98, Heidi.
Aw.
He said he's giving back after they helped him. It's amazing how people tend to come together after a tragedy or a disaster, and it's really cool to see somebody that's 98 years old saying, you know, there's a lot of things I can't do, but the things I can do, I will do, and
That's
I will
right.
do them to
That's
help other
awesome.
people too. And I gotta sit and think, you know, think about all the times where right now we're able to help, and instead we choose to, you know, sit down and watch an episode of The Voice rather than, you know, going and raking somebody's yard or helping a neighbor in need. And nothing against the voice. I deleted that off because I started watching it and Heidi wouldn't join me. So I'm like, why am I watching this? I recorded it because you like it. But you don't like it now because they're already all turned around, right?
Right. I like it when they're choosing their teams.
Yeah.
When it comes to the battles, I really don't care. But I like it when they can't see them. There's something really magical about that part.
Yeah, it is.
Because they're really choosing them based off of talent, not off of what they see.
Yeah, and so that we kind of got way off track there. But anyway, whatever the show, whatever that show is, whatever it is that drags you away, maybe we should take a little less time doing that and say, you know what? I'm going to go help that little old lady that's been raking her yard for 3 days. I'm going to go over and help her get it done today, or whatever it is. So maybe something, go out of your way to help somebody somewhere, somehow. Giving somebody a little extra change at the, I was at a grocery store one day and the guy was like 12 cents short. And I said, I got it. And simple and easy for me. And the guy was like, oh, thank you very much. He was going to run out to his truck. I'm like, 12 cents. I got it. But, those little tiny things that we can do to be good neighbors, that makes us good people. So be good people, be good neighbors, and have a good day. Time to say goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, everybody. I got a link to the story, by the way, at facebook.com/John and Heidi Show.